course, there is always more Overwatch to come in general. For example, we got the Contenders Spring Series, which is back Monday and Tuesday, and you can watch and earn your Reaper and Lucio Contender skins, and they are looking good. Check out overwatchleague.com/path2pro for more details and information on all of that. And Jake, you are.
Oh boy, I've been cooking. Shall we say?
Yeah. Someone's been cooking. It's not me though. Liz has been cooking, and she wants to extend the cooking to everyone out there. So please do your best. So what I really mean is do your worst. Do a hashtag presented by Jake meme for us. I mean, we're already providing them with meme like templates at this point.
Oh yeah. I mean, that one's too easy. It's too obvious. But you know what?
That one's very easy.
At least I'm smiling. You know, at least.
It's a good smile too. It's a good smile.
I usually get captured in way worse moments. So like you actually you got very lucky. Or maybe
you have like half an eye
It's not like a rage
closed, like your mouth.
The Overwatch community could use some more positivity. You know, I think I'd like to keep the memes positive, guys. Family friendly. That's what I'm all about, Zoe, right?
That's
Tell
our
the people.
CTA. That's what we're all about here. But yeah, please use the hashtag presented by Jake. I want to see what you guys are coming up with. I have some ideas as well, so I'm going to send in some as well. For now, however, I will. Promise. Now, from worst to absolute best, Boston Uprising, Atlanta Reign. This is going to be our last match, and everything is up to play for the Boston Uprising because they need this victory in order to get that bye alongside Atlanta Reign, which are still lossless, right? Like no one has been able to actually take him down. Boston Uprising is back in full strength as well because we have Izayaki back in the roster. He has recovered, so we're super happy to see him back on the servers, and we're so happy to hear that he is doing well again after suffering from a collapsed lung, which I don't even want to imagine how painful that is. Lucky for him, of course, their substitution was pretty darn good, you know, like you're not too worried about that one.
Pretty good Overwatch League player.
Yeah, it's like
all right.
That is honestly
you take
so
that.
very straight.
Not too shabby, not too shabby.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at their lineup to see who we're going to start up with right after this. The return, here he is. Izayaki is back. Is he looking happy or concerned? I can't tell.
Looking focused.
Looking
focused. Healthy. Yeah, let's go.
He's ready. He's ready to rumble, and he will be in the starting lineup as well. So Twilight back on the bench. Hate to see it, but also you love to see it. So let's see. That's actually true. And on the other side, of course, we have the Atlanta Reign. And a big story here, Kenobi, has to be that Lib is going to face off against former teammates from the 2022 Shanghai Dragons.
And I think it's going to be so interesting as well because I wonder if there's like some things that Lijigon and Izayaki have picked up, like playing with Lib all this time. It's like, are there like some things with the Sombra? Because I feel like Atlanta has not been figured out yet. There was one team that was the Houston Outlaws on one map that like kind of figured it out for like a little bit, but since then Atlanta has just looked incredible, and this is like to me the last test of like, is there going to be a team that can reach them? Because if it's not Houston, if it's not Boston here, Atlanta is going to run away, I think, with the midseason madness.
And honestly, I'm here for it. I like a good Juggernaut story. I wanna see them run with it for as long as they can until we see some cracks in the armor. For now, let's take a look at the predictions. I dare say everyone across the board is probably going Atlanta with this one. But Rich, why have they been looking so undefeatable? Is there a single? Have you seen a weakness? Is there a weakness?
This team just in and of itself excels. And like there's even just some talking with others, it's like, you know, it's this Lip effect. It's what Lip can really bring into this. Just the coordination, their synergy, their ability to follow through on a lot of these just mechanically skilled plays and their timing. It's really, really challenging to see what those types of weaknesses really are.
And I love that side of the table gave them some maps there too. We were just like, nah.
No.
Oh my God, that is...
I mean, Boston has great players. Atlanta has better players. There's no clash of styles here. These teams are probably both going to mirror match, and so far, no one has looked competitive on the mirror match except Houston. I don't see it. I think Atlanta's going to run away.
All right. Atlanta will be running away. Well, we'll find out. Maybe Boston will be able to fight back a little bit and take a map or two away. So far, however, it has not been done. What are you guys thinking here, Moxie and Dustin?
Oh, man.
Are they just going to continue their clean streak?
I don't know. I don't think so. To be honest, I got a heel turn on my boys here. I think that the Boston Uprising, they got a good chance. I mean, here in the West, we have this weird narrative that it's not good. I think they're a good team. I think they're a damn good team. We'll have to see, obviously, coming into this one, Moxie. The desk all thinks it's Rain. I'm sure the fans all think it's Rain. What a great team they have been this season. But you know what, Moxie? Back when I was in the Rain, old man glasses, put on my way. Back in Season 2, the Rain went on the longest streak of wins they've ever had, 8-0. With the boy named Erster. We went 8-0, so we'll see if the Rain can even match their longest win streak in franchise history.
You're really pulling out that back in my day.
Hey, this team's still not better than them yet. I'm just kidding. This team is insane. This team is actually like, there's a reason Zoe said she's a big fan of Juggernauts, and, you know, this team is an absolute juggernaut right now.
I was gonna say, yes, I agree. Boston are an amazing team, but Atlanta Rain are amazing-er. They are just the best in the region at the moment. Lip is the best Sombra. Straight up as well. We can say that. There's no and, there's no but, there's no if. He is simply the best Sombra. And if there's any player out there at the moment who's making a really good run for just overall MVP this year, it is absolutely the guy that is forcing so many of these teams to have to mirror that Sombra.
Careful there, Moxie. You just popped up 10 Reddit threads talking about how Lip is actually not the best player, and you're wrong. So, no, I'm just kidding. Raid do have a really good, talented Sombra player, and overall, you know, as a unit, they just know how to play around him to a very high degree.
Yeah, but we do have Izzyaki coming back in, like the desk said, so he is going to be picking up that Ana role over Twilight, who is now going to be on the bench for Boston. So if we do see Lip kept in check by the backline, Smurf, Birdering, and DK are going to have a much easier job of being able to dive into Rain.
Donghak and Stalker already rotate onto Birdring, Tornsnap point side, and that's already a great opening pick. Also, Sleep Dart onto Izzyaki, the boop, and then the shot from Fielder, the backline coming online. Stalker as well on the Lee Jae Gong. Before the point has even unlocked, they get this team fight win.
Well, if that's not a welcome back to Overwatch League, I don't know what is. Fielder forgoes the balloons and the cake and sends Izzyaki packing with a sleep dart. I feel like that's the Ana hello to the other Ana on the other side, but as a result, Atlanta Rain are going to be able to build up that point percentage, and now Lip gets absolute free run of this map. Has to trust the kid out early, however, though.
Oh my, Fielder again. Izzyaki removed instantly. Now they have to back up without their Ana. The anti-grenade as well. Birdering is low. Just continually putting pressure onto the Boston Uprising.
Boston haven't been able to build up a single ultimate at the moment. Granted, Rain aren't really building up ultimates at the moment either, because Fielder has just been immediately dealing with Izzyaki. There's a hack at least onto Fielder this time around, but there's just no follow-up from Boston. They don't have the room. They're all rotating around the side room, so as a result, Smith doesn't have the jump movement to clip on the Ana.
Nano onto Donghak, but the sleep dart comes out. However, because that sleep was used, they had to avoid Stalker, who connects with the pulse bomb on the Legion Gong, but the counter pulse and the anti-grenade is enough to stop Donghak in that push, and Lip translocates back all the way to the dojo side. They still have the point under the control. Surely Donghak will get the respawns and be back in time, so Boston Uprising are aware of that. They just want to get healthy, but the longer they take, they're not getting any position towards this point. They're still on the white room, and now Donghak is back in this fight. They're still in it. EMP also connects, but it's onto a Winston, who just gets that nano from Izzyaki to keep him nice and healthy. Now the counter hack comes through onto Birdring. They almost melt him down, but the full dive comes through onto the dojo, where Chio's here to peel for Donghak and his Ana. Primal Rage is used. He'll have the beat drop, but Smurf already took out Fielder. Chio knows that, so he's going to hold on to the beat as the point flips for the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, point did flip, but unfortunately Atlanta Rain have already been able to build up 76%, and Lip, despite just using an EMP, is about to go 50% of the way to the next one. That's why Boston were waiting so long in that side rotation. They had to make sure that Izzyaki didn't get hit by EMP. They were spy checking for the Sombra, so when the ultimate came through, Boston at least had the means of being able to take control of the fight. But Rain, sitting on Sound Barrier, can just aggressively push on to Uprising if Birdering's ultimate doesn't hit the Lucio.
Birdring over the top with the EMP, a very aggressive position. Usually a lot of these teams don't like to play that. They have to actually back up. Pulse bomb available for Stalker. The beat drop used early, so Legion commits the rally. Pulse bomb committed from Stalker, doesn't connect onto anybody, but the EMP and Decay after they sustain that dive. Boston Uprising shut down Chio. 50% on the board now for them. Also, Donghak has committed the Primal Rage. Now they just have the EMP and Nano for next fight.
Decay does have the pulse bomb. Fielder coming up to a nano boost to be able to save a squishy if they do get hit by it. However, as Boston Uprising with control of bridge are pulling off a really good stall at the moment, but there's the nano boost. This is the go time for Rain.
Yeah, the Sleep Dart, though, shuts it down. Lip's still sitting here with the EMP, connects onto Smurf, knowing they're a bit far away from the supports, but he actually almost gets away until he's shut down by Lip. Although, you know, Smurf is down, so is Chio. They get the hack onto Birdring. Counterbash comes through on the Dong hack. They haven't even claimed the point for how much space they control. Nice Sleep Dart from Izayaki as well, and Decay really has been putting an MVP level performance so far on Tracer the entire time.
Yeah, unfortunately, even though Lip does get slept, Birdring isn't able to actually complete the hack, so the Sombra's able to translocate out without being picked off. So Rain still in this fight at the moment as Uprising send the nano boost with Winston to keep Rain dislodged from being able to put together a recontest as Uprising hit towards 97%.
This is a very messy fight. Some members of the Boston Uprising went to Dojo, while Stalker took down 2. Also now 3 on the Lee Jae-Gong. Stalker with the 1v1 of Decay, and then the follow-through damage for the rest of his team. Now 80% on the board for them.
Uprising have one fight where they're ahead of Rain in terms of ultimate advantage. They have to make it count. No one can be taken down by Lip in rotation because he's so close to that EMP.
Very aggressive push. Hack also on the Chio towards that bridge side. They're sitting with the EMP. They know Birdring has it ready to go, but they're surely going to force him back all the way in that rotation with the rest of his team, so not able to really set up that EMP just yet. Lip has his own EMP Sleep Dart. That is used from Izayaki there. They're still playing back towards white. EMP connects on a Smurf, and the follow-up damage before he can even Primal Rage. Counter EMP is here. Is it enough? They found Chio. Can they get any more? They're rotating around. Smurf will be able to come back into this fight with the Primal Rage. While Fielder's at the back of that building. The Nano is getting shot by Izayaki, but now the rally is here. Everybody's healthy for the Boston Uprising. Nano was committed. Tried to throw it on to Donghawk, but it's on to Stalker, who gets slept by Izayaki and shut down by the Boston Uprising. Izayaki shut down Stalker. Now Lee Jae-Gong connects on to Donghawk as they're walking to the point with the rally. Nobody else can touch either. The Boston Uprising steal round number 1.
Well, that's the new version of the booster, I guess. Accidentally nanoing that Tracer really cost Rain. And it means that Uprising, despite a rocky start, we do have to acknowledge it was an incredibly rocky start, were able to meet the momentum that Rain were able to find as we head towards Control Center. And this is going to be a change of pacing as we're going to get to see the replay of Izayaki really getting a lot more room, hitting that Sleep Dart as well onto Stalker. This is the follow-up that Boston needs. When the Sleep Dart comes through, the anti-nade, the hack, full team focus to make sure that that target does not get to see the awake animation.
You know what, Moxia? I am tired of this Izayaki slander.
Smurf?
You know? Oh, God, they're running the Orisa, okay? Running Orisa with the Hanzo. Bit more poke. Wait, have we seen this in, like, when was the last time we've seen an Orisa combo?
A very, very, very long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But Orisa is back in Overwatch League to counter this Reinhardt. If you try and charge in for Donghak, he's going to be fortified. He's going to be javelined, and this Orisa gets so much poke to keep Rain from moving forward.
And it's Birdring to find the opening pick onto Lip. Without any shields, it didn't matter. He just got Lip, who's walking into the point. Now they dive onto Izayaki, but he surely has the peel here. Immortality Field used as Atlanta Rain uses theirs. They definitely did not expect such an interesting comp to be played against them today.
I mean, does anyone ever expect Orisa to come through in Overwatch League? I think not, as Rain are going to go back to the drawing board. Gone is the Reinhardt. Here is full dive. Lip immediately onto the Sombra. Remember as well, EMP now immediately breaks Terror Surge, as well as just an ordinary hack. So just this Sombra is going to make this Orisa's existence. Oh, hell! Izayaki!
Oh, he's backing out of there. Stalker and Lip connect onto 2. Stalker also onto Lee Jae-Gong, and then onto Izayaki as well. Donghawk almost moved him off the map, but luckily for Boston, they just counter-strafed it, rotate back around. 23 on the board for Boston Uprising.
The problem is that even though Izayaki is able to strafe away from the knock environmental, Donghak has still created the space and disruption for Uprising's forces, so they can't actually take advantage of that 25% damage increase of Discord and keep Rain at bay. And as a result, the Orisa composition, it's nice what lasted, is gone now.
Donghak and Stalker look for that dive in the back line, but Smurf is there. with the peel. They did have to use bubble. Now the Ant Matrix towards the pillar side. It doesn't look like it's in a position that they can see a lot of the point, but Izayaki just rips the head off of Lip. What a shot through the Ant Matrix to shut down that Sombra. Now transcends after he got hit into the air by the Wrecking Ball. They rotate towards that point. Izayaki now has to play it kind of safe, but they do have the point under the control as Atlanta Reign attempt to regroup.
Yeah, Uprising able to take full advantage of the fact that even though they swapped Smurf onto a Winston that doesn't play well with a Baptiste and Zen, they still have ultimates to work with, and there was no EMP from Lip to counter them. So as a result, Uprising just get to farm Rain and push them now into that very same place that a dive composition does not want to have to work through. Choke, where your movement is significantly limited.
44% of the board, 45, now halfway to the Boston Uprising. Winning this map, number 1. Lip does sit into the back with the EMP, commits it onto Smurf, who just jumped back, perfectly placed EMP from the Sombra God himself, shuts down Smurf. Stalker also with the pulse bomb, comes around the back, but he's shut down by Izayaki, who is just dealing with the Tracer or the Sombra consistently. Birdring also shuts down Doghack, who dropped the Wrecking Ball mines in the backline. And Izayaki, again, 2 kills for him. Have we just seen the reincarnation of Jonak today?
I mean, Izayaki was always that, right? Always in the discussion. Especially after last year, he was sort of touted as that replacement for Jonak coming in on that Zenral, just able to pump out that damage and making it so hard for things like a Sombra and Trace to jump onto you.
Early beat drop, so the dive can finally take out Izayaki. Stalker's also there on the Lee Jae-gong. Both supports removed. Nice dive from the Atlanta Reign. Now 88% on the board. Boston don't want to commit any ultimates. They just want to stagger out this point and get a reset in so they can come at the next one with some ultimates.
Chio used Sound Barrier as well, so that little extra condition for a Sombra to have a successful EMP has been removed for Uprising sides. Gone is needing to mark that loser's position and catch the backline in the ultimate. If an EMP comes through and you're not scouted out, you're still going to be able to find a pick.
Izayaki walking out of spawn, but is pressured by the Atlanta Reign, who do a great job forcing that immortality fill from Lee Jae-gong. That's going to be a big cooldown leading into this next fight because Izayaki needs to build this transcendence, or 90% on the board. Balls all the way back, avoids the pull spawn from the backline, but the Kitsune Rush is in his face, but they've been able to peel it. Birdring, though, is low on that front line, gets the Harmony Orb. Smurf also comes back into the fight because that dive was unsuccessful. Now with the Primal Rage, looks to counter Donghack, who was trying to get on the back of the map, and he does so. Now the transcendence is committed from Izayaki to make sure he doesn't fall to Lip with that EMP, and Decay finds Chio. Now the EMP connects, but Izayaki with the full orb into Lip forces him back. Donghack's not able to get the kills. The Discord's on him, and Izayaki takes down Donghack. No more Winston in this fight. The Boston Uprising are looking to close out on the Zhang Tower, and they do so. Will now be up 1 on the undefeated Atlanta Reign.
Oh my goodness. Are we going to see the fall of the Juggernaut? Calling it David versus Goliath, I feel isn't fitting because Boston do not have a slingshot. They have Izayaki. It's just loading up all of these Zen volleys. Like, you even see it from Lip. The EMP comes through, but they just don't take the Zen down. And as a result, the Lamp gets to come through and save the Zen, and Rangers do not get to oust the backline the way that they have in the past series that they've taken.
This is what we've been saying about the Boston Uprising, right? There just seems to be, there's a narrative that, haha, funny, Boston Uprising go boom mentally. But this is just some narrative that's been started in the West. As a unit, as a team, the Boston Uprising are incredibly talented. Izayaki comes back, people questioning whether Twilight should be in the lineup or not. Izayaki proving today why he's here, why he's been playing a majority of the time. I bet his win rate and scrims are through the roof. It just seems like the Boston Uprising at the moment look to match the Atlanta Reign when no other team has been able to.
It's such a feast of famine strategy as well, going Zen against the Sombra when Sombra just eats Zen for breakfast every single time if you can't hit those volleys. But Izayaki was not just holding his own, he was carrying that damage potential for Boston Uprising. When you run a Trace and Sombra, you take out damage burst. When you run the Zen, it comes back into the conversation.
Oh, that amp is annoying to deal with. Everybody talks about Discord Orb, EMP, like you said, Moxie. It's just always so terrifying to go against it. We'll see if the Boston Uprising can actually do better than they did on map number 1, which is quite insane. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back, everybody, to the matchup between the Atlanta Reign and the Boston Uprising, one of the most anticipated matchups of the season. Before we enter the knockouts, Boston Uprising are up so far on the undefeated Atlanta Reign, leading into the next map, Moxie, which is going to be Blizzard World, but we do have a sub. Hawk will be coming in instead of Donghack.
Well, we also have 2 subs on the side of Boston as well. Kalios is going to be coming in on that tank role. And, well, Izayaki, he conquered the seemingly unconquerable Atlanta Reign Sombra dive, and then he subbed out for Twilight to come back in. I'm really happy to see Twilight back in. I love Izayaki. I love the fact that he can flex onto that Zen and just pummel this dive composition with orbs, as well as using that Discord to really limit the movement of that composition. But when you're playing on Blizzard World, you want to be able to play that anti-dive composition of Ana and Brigitte.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think that Brigitte, with the recent changes, has become kind of an insane character and really has been a mainstay on a lot of these hybrid maps. And for any main support, you have to be able to play that Brigitte, but you also, like Chiho, like Lee Jae-gong, you've been able to make these flexible swaps to even Lucio at times.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the full flexibility of it. You're actually committing to this Lifeweaver pick, but Boston Uprising being on that defense, we can talk about this composition because it is locked in. There's that anti-dive composition, Twilight on the Ana, an incredibly vulnerable target if left alone, especially with the changes onto Sleep Dart, now on tanks. When a dive comes through, going to be playing alongside Lee Jae-gong, who the Brigitte, it's been interesting tracking her progress through Overwatch. When she released incredibly aggressive, allowing Reinhardt compositions to just push forward, now played a lot more defensively with things like the shield bash and the flail mainly used to knock back a dive coming onto that Ana's side.
Look at this, left door instead of the middle door with the life pedal, or with the pedal from Lifeweaver. Nice, interesting play from the Reign. Doesn't result in anything, obviously, but looking for those Widow shots as Lip is obviously going to set up in this backline. Boston running a very similar composition on their side. We have a mirror Moxie in this match.
Oh, Twilight and Lee Jae-gong already actually caught out by an anti coming through from Fielder, having to give up a lot of space and allowing Reign to immediately be able to move around the side of this point.
Yeah, Birdwings had to translocate to his team, kind of forced out of position. Now Hawk tries to claim this high ground where the Brigitte is, but it looks like Boston Uprising are committed to the high ground. Actually get the anti-grenade off onto Hawk's mech. Unfortunately, not able to amp Matrix in time. He loses it and actually gets dove on hard. Chio trying to fend for his life, does get Kalios' mech. But eventually, now it's a baby Demon duel, and Kalios comes out on top with a Tracer of Decay, and eventually, we'll see if he opts to just jump off the map or not, but Atlanta Reign, they're kind of getting staggered in this current situation. Fielder dies incredibly late after a minute is off the clock.
Yeah, Lip is found out, has to translocate out to the rest of his team as well, but Kalios going to be waiting for that mech to come back a little bit longer. Hawk's already got his. If Reign are able to make a move, no, there it is. Kalios able to get back into that mech, so Defense Matrix is going to be up to put a stop to Fielder's utility.
Let's see where Lip is. Lip is currently coming back from spawn towards the main side. Birdwing is the one that's actually set up. So this is kind of a big deal for the side of the Boston Uprising, who attempt to actually deal with the Atlanta Reign, who push towards that point. So they give up a lot of that positioning. Birdwing translocated all the way back, now comes back into this fight. Both Sombras looking to just play with their team. Lip actually has to translocate back out of this fight. Hawk gets hacked on that left angle, but a pulse bomb and EMP available for Birdwing and Decay. While Lip uses his EMP aggressively, Hawk finds Lee Jae-gong. Birdwing uses his own EMP, so they find Chio. Both Brigitte's down, but how fast do the backlines fall? It looks like they actually come back for the peel. Atlanta Reign don't want their Ana to die. They come back for Fielder, but they give up a lot of that space on the point, which they eventually reclaim pretty fast. Stalker commits the pulse bomb, but it's eaten by Kalios, who Fielder then on the point still has the nano and uses it on Hawk, who goes aggressive towards the point, but also a counter on this point is Decay, who finds Fielder in the backline, who threw up the nano boost. Hawk trying his best to live without that Ana, but with just Chio, I don't know if you can. He actually commits the Diva Bomb to zone out the point, forcing the rally from Lee Jae-gong, but Kalios with the Diva Bomb falls to Stalker, who went aggressive towards the point. And now Boston Uprising are down Kalios, down their main tank, as the rally gives Atlanta Reign some positioning towards this point.
Rain still not actually able to find a single tick. Now they've been able to pick one up. Boston Uprising still in position to be able to contest at the moment. However, the Ana is hacked out. Not able to use that nano boost until just now. And it goes on to Lee Jagon, who's going to act as an anchor for Uprising's composition to make sure that Rain aren't able to pick up a second.
1 minute left. Pulse bomb out from Stalker. It's a 2K from him. Lee Jagon and Kalios both lose their lives. The Baby Diva and the Brigitte. And finally, after 3 minutes, Atlanta Reign capture first point on Blizzard World.
A lot of time burnt off, however, for Atlanta to be able to push into point B with. The problem is that Uprising now don't actually have immediate access to this high ground to keep Twilight and Lee Jagon safe from a dive that comes on through. So as a result, we're going to have to see them push Rain back just a little bit. Hawk already playing on top of that turret, making it that Twilight and Lee Jagon just do not feel safe enough to be able to take that side angle so Uprising can actually contest this card.
Yeah, Uprising have Birdring trying to set up as well. Just goes for that mini flank, potentially actually comes back towards the high ground, but the entire time the cart is pushing. Fielder, aware the dive could come onto him anytime, just kind of trying to play his distance, make sure he's not caught out. The EMP comes out from Lip, and Hawk and him connect for both the Decay and Lee Jagon. Perfectly placed EMP results in those 2 kills and the constant snowball of this payload.
Yeah, and Uprising, again, because of that position that Rain had already occupied in that last fight, not in good ground to be able to disengage safely. Hawk, having not used those boosters to get that high ground control, immediately able to use those play aggressively off of Lip's EMP as Birdring has to try and use an EMP of his own to open up this fight.
But he doesn't have a translocator. It was broken to the back line, so he has to play forward. Throws it last second and gets the heals. Great work from Boston Uprising to keep Birdring alive, and movement from him to keep his team in this fight as well. The Atlanta Reign also have to deal with a nano boost from Twilight a bit late in that fight to secure the win as they back up and try to regroup for the next one.
No staggers coming through onto Rain just yet. However, in Boston Uprising still not getting control of this high ground. Stalker's occupied it and is using the threat of this pulse bomb to keep Kalios in check so that the Diva has to be ready with defense matrix where the Tracer goes.
Rally here on the point still. Venture runs out. Stalker with the pulse bomb. Twilight avoids it, rotates away from it. The Diva bomb as well connects on the Stalker, who had to recall in just the perfect place. Kalios, what a Diva bomb from him. Now Lee Jagon has to fall back to Twilight, who has the heals on him. Hawk's trying to find something, but his team's already dead. Tries to commit the Diva bomb, in fact, and the EMP connects as well into Birdring, but 2 meters left. They touch. Kalios is here. All of your ultimates are used on the side of the Atlanta Reign, but so are Boston Uprising. Birdring's on this fight because he's the one to fall with the EMP, so Kalios loses mech. They have the man advantage. Does Birdring commit the EMP and try to hold on to the second phase? It looks like the answer is no. Atlanta Reign will chase down the rest of Boston Uprising and give up this second point.
Yeah, good decision from Rain to just hold on to that fight, hold on to that ground, knowing that Birdring, like you pointed out of the fight, the only ultimate Uprising had to work with, removed temporarily. Rain, in the meantime, had Fielder set so far backwards with that nano boost in case Rain's health bar's drained low that they're able to feel confident enough to keep pushing Uprising. Though Uprising will still have the EMP, Fielder's still going to have that nano boost to try to save the squishy target that the Sombra chooses out.
We'll see if Atlanta Reign can set up a dive, even though they know they're at an ult deficit. The EMP comes out onto Hawk. He doesn't actually fall. Double pocket from both Chio and Field to do a good job keeping him healthy without having to even use that nano. So they're ready for an aggressive play because Boston Uprising have already used one of their crucial ultimates in this fight. Antigrenade comes out, but Kalios eats it with the defense matrix. Pulse bomb almost hits onto Fielder, but Twilight's the one to fall from a pulse bomb of Stalker. And then the nano rally play comes out to counter Lee Jae-gong, who was going aggressive with a nano of his own. But Atlanta Reign now have that EMP and Diva Bomb for the next fight, as Boston Uprising have a rally and Diva Bomb of their own.
So it looks actually like Buttering's EMP was meant for Lip, but the Sombra iframes through it with the translocator. And Uprising were ready to pounce onto the Sombra, not the team behind them. So the rally nanoboost combination is just too much for them to deal with. They still have a rally and bomb of their own, but Lip is the EMP!
But it's a perfectly timed rally from Lee Jae-gong, who just counters Lip's EMP. They regroup together as a unit. He does get flailed away to make sure he can't get a lot of his passive off in this fight, as well as the Boston Uprising now play back Hawk with the Diva Bomb. Both Divas sitting with those bombs. We'll see how aggressive they play. In fact, they're just trying to wait for other members of their team to get ultimate. Lijiang goes low. Chio does as well, but Chio eventually will fall after that aggressive play. Both Brigittas removed. Kalios gets poked down. Doesn't want to get hacked last second, so he commits the Diva Bomb. But Hawk also has his own, but it's Twilight and Kalios to combine for both Hawk and Stalker, who had to use his own Diva Bomb and recall surely. The Sleep Dart did connect at the end onto Birdring, but 15 seconds left, Moxie. This is now scary for the Atlanta Reign.
Reign will have ultimates to be able to keep this push going. However, Fielder with that Nano Boost, Stalker with the Pulse Bomb, but like you said, Birdring just waiting before Reign can even move.
Oh my god, what an EMP follow-up from Decay. Nice job to shut down Chio, knowing he's the target to focus. Now the Nano comes through late. Stalker, though, evens things up with a Pulse Bomb onto the backline. Decay tries to find the backline of Fielder, but cannot find him with a Pulse Bomb of his own. Hawk can't get a kill with the rest of his Nano either, so we haven't even fight, but Boston will have close response. Twilight will be back with the Nano, but Stalker, again, has been such a difference maker. The EMP now comes through. Stalker's there with the follow-up, and same are the rest of the Atlanta Reign. Chio uses some nice mechanics on the cart to bash away as well, and it's just Lee Jae-gong against the world. Now uses the rally and the Nano on the opposite. Chio still doesn't have anything. The nade, though, perfectly placed from Fielder, although he gets counter-naded on the opposite side. Chio builds that rally, and surely the Boston Uprising do not have enough damage on this point. You just have Kalios to delay, but at least you forced overtime against the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah, forced overtime, but not taking away from what Stalker was able to do on point C. Like you said, this Tracer, so often we talk about Lip, but Stalker is the one running that show all the way down to the end. The fact that he's able to take Twilight out, so Boston Uprising aren't able to rally around the Anna's Nano Boost to give ground and just walk into range shots, absorb some of that damage and focus fire so that Kalios has the sustainability on that Diva mech as well to use Defense Matrix, not just to peel for his backline, but also to deny Reign rocketing up in terms of ultimate charge. Because Lip hits an EMP, and from there, Uprising just have no ground to stand on.
I mean, this is an absolute chess match at the current moment. I mean, in that last fight, if I'm not mistaken, Moxie, did it seem like every player in the game were like on the same ult track almost, right? Like it seems like we're just going ult for ult. Kalios had bomb, Hawk had bomb. That was their only ultimates, and then both Brigittas just go aggressive into each other. I mean, what a last fight that was. And like you called out earlier, I mean, Stalker, a phenomenal player for the Atlanta Reign, an amazing Tracer player in his own right.
Yeah, the difference between that sort of mirror utility and positioning was Stalker found the kill that he was looking for. Yeah. Uprising send Decay into Atlanta Reign's backline, chasing down Chio before he's able to regroup with the team, but the kill doesn't actually come through. Pulse Bomb whiffs, and unfortunately, Uprising, without that Tracer to play marking for where Stalker's playing from, have no way of saving Twilight. But now Reign are going to be on defense, Uprising on attack, and there's no Life Weaver pedal shenanigans. They're just going to go straight on to the composition that they want to start out with.
An attempted Skynade from Fielder doesn't land. Boston Uprising walk around where it was going to land, and now Kalios comes from the high ground, does get hacked down below though, so he's just kind of playing with his HP pool and also with the defensive matrix rotating out his utility quite well. And in fact, look at this. We have Lee Jae-gong just constantly going aggressive, taking a lot of that space, kind of acting as like an off tank for Kalios to just keep rotating towards that point. And now Boston Uprising are in a great position, although Fielder over the top could easily land some anti-grenades in that backline setup. It's Decay, though, who wins the 1v1 with Stalker on the coastal side. It's one of those micro fights. An anti-grenade comes through, maybe could equalize it as Twilight goes incredibly low. Hawk goes for the dive, but they cannot kill Twilight. There's too much peel. Lip, though, does eventually find Lee Jae-gong, and that's an okay kill to get, but you're already down one member here in this current fight. The nade also connects on the Chio to keep him nice and healthy. You have to wait for Hawk to come back. Decay has the pulse bomb over the left flank and connects! The pulse bomb finds both Lip and Chio as it connected onto the Brigitte of the Atlanta Reign. Although Stalker has found Twilight, already one tick has been given for the Boston Uprising. They're still rotating around this point. Pulse bomb does not connect. EMP still readily available for Birdring as Kalios is still here. They do have a lot of that tank pressure, but the nano boost onto Hawk gives them that damage output, although Birdring is here with the counter EMP to get onto Stalker, although Hawk's damage is just far too much for the Boston Uprising to overcome. They only have 58% on the board now.
Uprising, despite being ahead so much of that fight, only walk away with a singular tick to their name. That's really rough because now Lip is just in position, ready to go VMP.
Oh, does he use it on Twilight, or does he wait for Lijiang to try to regroup? It looks like he wants to rotate back towards the team, avoid Kalios, who's doing a lot of that Sombra checking. The hack comes through, notices his positioning is kind of not the best, so he gives it up at the time being, giving Boston Uprising maybe a bit of a false opinion that they're in a safe position on that left side. EMP comes out, the dive is there immediately to find Lijiang. The Nana boost onto Kalios doesn't have the follow through. He doesn't have enough damage from the rest of his team or himself, so he's going to have to back up while down a member. Decay also gets found towards this mini side, knowing he's incredibly low. The Atlanta Reign will try to collapse on the Boston Uprising, who are regrouping by the staircase. They do have the rally here, but Lijiang, like mentioned, died earlier, so he has to come back into this fight with the rally, and now it's just Twilight left on his lonesome. Nice sleep dart though, and then gets the health pack. I mean, this is great work from Twilight as far as he can go, but he eventually falls. Did he live long enough? The pulse bomb from Stalker gets eaten by Kalios, who is there with the peel, and they have the Brigitte to rally, the IMAX some might call it, to then come back into this fight to get Hawk out of there. Atlanta Reign are now down 2 members. Do they try to recontest here though, Moxie, last second?
I mean, Lep is looking like he wants to go for it. Fielder trying to come into line of sight with that Nano Boost. Kel's doing a very good job of playing around that choke to make sure that the Ana doesn't get the Nano Boost, but it comes out onto Stalker. And Reign now with that supercharged Brit have all of the sustainability and blink to keep this point, but they don't touch in time.
No, they do not. He was just trying to get some kills there, just rotated around. Unfortunately, cannot touch the point last second. I mean, it was a really tough, tight angle, hard to actually regroup, but, you know, good hold, honestly, for the Atlanta Reign. Now 3 minutes for the Boston Uprising in the second phase.
Look at the difference in positioning as well. When Uprising were defending, Reign immediately taking charge of this high ground. Not the Diva, but the Brigitte, to make sure that if a dive comes through, you just get played right back to the low.
Yeah, it's just both Brigittas playing out of their mind at the current moment. Decay with the pulse bomb. Flanks around the left side while Burden with the EMP sits on the low ground, waiting for Atlanta Reign to make a move. Goes invisible, just opts to play it slow in the meantime, maybe allowing Atlanta Reign to use abilities first. EMP from Lip, counter EMP now from Birdring. They find Stalker with the trade of Lijiang, so you trade your Brigitte for a Tracer. We'll see who can come out on top in this fight. It looks like both teams kind of not really trading kills just yet. Atlanta Reign try to back up, actually lose Hawk's mech, so in this situation, they lose out on Stalker, and now in this fight, they don't have a lot of this damage. Hawk and Baby Diva for him, just delaying on the cart. Boston Uprising not opting to use any ultimates. They just want to take this rotate as Hawk, or Stalker, goes aggressive again and gets picked off yet again by the Boston Uprising.
I mean, talking about yet again, that might be the 3rd or 4th pulse bomb that Kalios on this Diva has been able to matrix away from Stalker. As the Nano Boost comes onto the Diva, but he gets slapped. He's gonna wake up with the Nano Boost still in play. That's the change that happened on Ana's sleep dart. So as a result, Reign still can't contest.
They can't. 2 meters left, 1 meters left. They now come towards this point. The rally from Chio with the Nano Boost, though, gives them the sustain. Boston Uprising are aware that it's incredibly terrifying to deal with that, so they just opt to wait for their team and allow Fielder and Chio to waste ultimates.
Yeah, Uprising know that they have one good shot at this. They have the position close enough to the payload, and Lip is far enough away from EMP that if they make a move now, they're going to be able to overrun Reign with ultimates alone.
Nice nade from Fielder. Slows down the Boston Uprising at the current moment. Decay with the pulse bomb sits on that cart, pushing it in, but Stalker and Lip are both there. Immediately, the recall actually, or translocate from Lip comes to the high ground, and then immediately, Lijiang gets removed by Chio's flail. The damage output too much for him to deal with. Decay also falls to Stalker, and the Boston Uprising, as it stands, are getting ultimates out of the Atlanta Reign, but they still have like not a lot of time left on the clock.
Yeah, unfortunately for Uprising, that anti-nade from Fielder cost them. They had to wait, and now they're going to get stalled. Kalios going to have to just throw himself off of the map to be able to get that Diva mech in time, because Uprising have one last push available. They've got ultimates to use, but the question is, are Reign going to let them use them before they even touch the cart?
I mean, you just got to play perfect here. Boston Uprising, you got to do well with your ultimates. It's now or never. You have an advantage. Stalker with the pulse bomb, sitting over the top, trying to help Lip out on that flank. Both Sombra is kind of... Actually, Lip is the one that has to translocate back as Birdring's still healthy on that flank. They rotate all the way around. 10 seconds left now. Boston Uprising do have some good ultimates in this fight, but Birdring is looking for members to EMP, although they're all kind of separated, waiting for the Atlanta Reign to drop below. Hawk drops, the hack comes through, but in fact it's canceled by Hawk on that low ground. EMP, nice, it connects on the Hawk. The nano comes through on Lijiang as well, and in fact it's Lijiang to just hit Lip with the flail, with a nano boosted flail to get that pick off. Now uses the rally on the point as well. Fielder does use his own nano on the Chio, who goes aggressive with a rally, but does he get the kills on the side of the Atlantic Rain? They're already down one. Pulse bomb from Decay does not connect. The fight is getting scrappy. They try to regroup around Chio on the point. Hawk tries to go aggressive and jump back to the high ground, but it's the EMP from Lip. Although they've already lost Stalker, that's a lot of their damage gone. Birdring, nice job from him. Kalios also connects onto Hawk, and it looks like the Boston Uprising are slowly going to get capture the second phase. As Hawk falls, so does Fielder. They capture out second phase in the overtime push.
Such good heals coming through from Uprising. Twilight and Lee Jaegon working overtime to make sure that Kalios holds on to that mech even through an EMP, where that mech's health falls so low, but Kalios doesn't have to use self-destruct. The second he hits that ultimate, that baby diva is mincemeat. So Uprising doing a very good job of allowing him to stay in the mech for as long as possible, means they still have self-destruct to open this next fight up.
Nice spike check there from Lee Jae-gong on that left flank. Blip was trying to set up on the back line, but the card is getting pushed the entire time. 56 seconds left. Boston Uprising, Moxie, they have some ultimates, but they actually use the EMP there from Birdring. Decay's also there with the follow-up, so that's one ultimate used for a solid team fight win, it looks like, for the Boston Uprising.
Really good decision from Uprising as well to immediately just use that EMP onto Lip so he doesn't get the time to farm Kalios' health bar to build an EMP. As a result, Rain aren't going to have it in this next fight, and Boston Uprising can keep Rain away from allowing Lip to find that ultimate charge.
Hawk walks in towards the point, but he gets hacked and then also anti-grenaded. And nice job from Twilight to hit the nade also. Twilight to hit the nade and then Birdring with the hack. Decay with the pulse bomb comes for that left side. Has to deal with Stalker. Has been doing so far. Pulse bomb from Stalker doesn't connect on that main side. So that's one ultimate used already for the Rain. Nice hack onto Hawk, immediately followed by an EMP of Lip, though. So they find Decay. Lee Jae-gong's on the cart and got slept by Fielder. So he's trying to get some value, but now has to deal with the Brigitte rallying with the Nano on the other side. Even though they're down a member, Kalios drops the Diva Bomb. Can it find anything? No, it's blocked by Chio, and now it's Birdring, Lee Jae-gong. Birdring gets slept on that payload. Eventually, Kalios comes back, but Chio's already found Birdring, and you're down a member in this current fight. Lee Jae-gong falls as well. The Pulse Bomb commits last second from Decay, but I don't think they have the follow-up damage. They have 2 members gone, and Atlantic Terrain will hold them on third phase Blizzard World.
There's such good fuel coming through from Boston's side, but this is the problem when you run into Atlanta Rain. You don't get to put your game plan into focus. You have to play to Rain's tempo. This is why they are so darn good. Even if they don't find the pick, they occupy you long enough that you run out of time. Turning back around, peeling for your Ana, stopped Uprising from a fast push into A, and unfortunately had a domino effect into B and thus C.
Oh my god, what a game we have on our hands, guys. 1-1 between these two teams. And Moxie, what do you think? I mean, everything was kind of all over the place. I don't know if you agree with me there, but feels like this overall has been a banger of a series. And obviously Atlanta Rain kind of showing why they're such a good team towards the end, really not messing up any of their ultimates, landing pulse bombs, making sure they time their fights correctly. Seemed like towards the end of Blizzard World, they figured things out.
Yeah, I mean, Rain figured out very quickly that Lip would be target focus #1 for Boston Uprising, to the point where we're seeing them throw in EMPs to just take the Sombra down before you can translocate out. And they've realized, okay, this means we have so much more movement for Stalker. And as a result, this Tracer is just getting to farm.
He is. I mean, just fantastic work from Stalker and the Atlantic Rain. We're tied up, boys and girls. We're going to Havana next, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for that map number 3. my God, what a fantastic group of fans that we have at the Boston Uprising watch party. I'm sure they're happy to see their team do incredibly well. And also, we have our first meme from the desk. Izyaki's back. He is indeed back, Biscuit. Thank you for those Jake memes. Please more of them. We need to have a lot of spicy ones too, please. We really need to see Jake holding something up that maybe it's like Houston Outlaw sucks or something like that. That'd be a good one. A little meme there for Jake. Maybe mess with him a little bit. But what a fantastic series we have on our hands, Moxie, between these two teams. I mean, ridiculous so far. We have Smurf being subbed in, as well as we have Izyaki being subbed in for the main support, in fact, for the Boston Uprising. So we have double flex support this time for the lineup.
Yeah, funny and factual. Izyaki is going to be coming back in. Twilight still hanging around, however, so Boston might want to play something towards that Zen Baptiste, especially given the fact that, well, we're headed off to Havana, and we've already talked about it. I don't think we're going to see the Rein versus Rein matchup. I know Hawk would love to be able to break out some Reinhardt, but come on, let's be honest, it's probably just going to be Sigma versus Sigma. Back to our usual broadcast scheduling on this map.
Yeah, but I mean, as seen before, previously with Chatty and then Kaluj, you know, Ramatra is always up in the air for these ones. Reinhardt can even be played. I mean, not that, obviously, like you said, Hawk probably not going to be on that, is he?
I mean, Rein works, but there's an asterisk to it. Like, if you want to actually use Reinhardt in your games, play him around spawn. The second you lose that spawn hold, unless your name is Hardy, you swap off immediately, because those long line of sights, especially that control of high ground for a defensive team, is just an absolute killer for a Reinhardt player.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, you know, for the Atlanta Reign, they're going to have Hawk on the Diva. Smurf is going to obviously have... Actually, we can see Atlanta Reign might change things up because they are in the attacking side. And for Boston Uprising, it looks like they're going to have Smurf on the Ramatra.
Yeah, Izyaki as well going to be moving over towards Kiriko rather than the Lucio. This is interesting because Smurf is going to be incredibly vulnerable without that speed boost to be able to funnel him to and from. Not quite as detrimental to a Ram as it is to a Reinhardt. However, since Ramatra does have both a melee form in terms of Nemesis, but also that poke phase with your primary.
I mean, you know, yeah, as well, to be fair to Izyaki, he's one of the deadliest Kurikos that we have as well. Just being able to find Kunai across the map to get opening picks, but Lip just already sets up for his dive deep, potentially goes for the hack, but he's just noticing that the Boston Uprising are giving up a lot of cart space for the Atlanta Reign.
Twilight very, very far away as well, using this board to make sure that he's out of line of sight for a majority of Reign's forces. Smurf using that shield around that corner zone as well to cut Reign's dive away from Stalker in the back line.
Yeah, this is kind of innovative. I like it. They use the Symmetra TP to set up Twilight and then swap the Symmetra off in the spawn. Twilight looks to jump off the high ground in a second. When Hawk is there, he pushes him off the high ground as the hack came through onto Smurf. The Atlanta Reign are still getting a lot of cart push during the fight too. So while the Boston Uprising are, you know, sitting around building ultimates, they gotta have to press the go key in a second. Almost gets the Sleep Dart as fielder, but he's hacked and taken out by Izyaki. That's why you have him in the game, to find those opening picks, whether it be on Zenyatta or Kuriko. He's found fielder. He's already out of the fight. Now Atlanta Reign have to keep backing up and dealing with Izyaki. I mean, this guy's been a menace so far.
Well, don't forget as well that Kiriko has the Suzu, which cleanses both the Pulse Bomb, but it also cleanses the hack. And Reign are so used to playing off of space created either by Lip's hacks or Stalker with the Pulse Bomb that now that they don't have that go-to immediate initiation, where do they go?
Yeah, they actually opt to go towards Decay on that top left with the Brigitte, but Decay has that Pulse Bomb ready to go. Does he want to use it after the shield goes low? Oh, Chio's helping Stalker just kind of deal with the duel as he gets to the high ground. So we have a 2v2 while 3v3 happens in main. Birdring dropped the EMP. Now Decay is outside of that EMP with that Pulse Bomb available. Smurf finds Hawk, who had to use his Diva Bomb in that fight too. You're down Hawk in this fight, 2 minutes left. You're split all over. Decay connects you with a Pulse Bomb, and you're headed right back to the spawn doors as a team.
Ram is so good as well to countering this composition that Reign have. Even though you don't have a Lucio, the Lucio's job is to funnel the Ram close enough to be able to use things like that Nemesis. But when a dive is coming to you, literally delivering themselves to your doorstep, Smurf doesn't actually have to worry about being too far away from these fights because Reign just descend on him. And that's when things like this pummel really connect onto these low health bars like Stalker's Tracer.
You're right, that's exactly what Smurf wants. EMP from Lip See if it connects onto him. It's just a hack onto Smurf to force him into that Nemesis form early. Now Lip sitting around, does have the EMP ready to go. Notices Birdring's behind him. Now Izayaki again finds him with the nano booster of Matra. Great job just funneling him into those shots from him. And we have a minute left now. Atlanta Rain are slowly getting staggered as they have members back in the back rooms of the Boston Uprising grouped up together just into Smurf's face, just able to get these kills. And they get staggered there as well. 1 minute left now for the Atlanta Rain.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if your brick shield is intact, Pummel goes through shields. That includes the Brigitte. Can we just talk about, by the way, Twilight sleeps Hawk so Defense Matrix doesn't eat zone from Smurf. They use it to keep the Diva from using boosters up on that high ground, and the mech is gone in seconds. Really good synergy coming through from Uprising. Some amazing plays between this Ana and Ram.
Yeah, they're shutting down Hawk at the moment. EMP from Lip connects onto Izayaki, but Izayaki just steps back towards his team. Nice swift step. Fielder also can't hit the sleep dart again. Same situation that we saw previously. Birdring came through with the hack onto Fielder. This time, Fielder wants to play it slow. A little scared of this fight. He has to deal with so much poke happening from across the map. Yet again from Izayaki, who points him out, makes sure that his Sombra's on him. They actually use the Kitsune Rush towards the point. Lip tries to set something up, but now has to come back for his team translocate out now that the Kitsune Rush is here. Although they do find Birdring, they are traded out. Stalker goes down to Izayaki. That's a lot of damage done. Now you have that Nano Brigitte rally to go, but you're against Smurf, who is locking down the payload so well. Now 3 seconds left as well. We're about to enter overtime. Smurf wants nobody touching this payload, but it's a Brigitte who is nailed with the rally, and they eventually shut him down. The sleep dart as well was used towards that point. EMP from Birdring, unfortunately, doesn't find any value, and eventually the Atlanta Rain will capture first point.
In a world where Twilight has line of sight onto Smurf with that nano boost for Annihilation, Uprising pull off a full hold against Rain. Unfortunately, this is not that world for Uprising fans. However, they have burnt off a significant chunk of Rain's time bank, and you take that every day of the week on a map like Havana, which is so heavily defensively favored, especially as we head towards B, and Birdring swaps onto the Hanzo to take full advantage of those spaces, of the perches where you can look for that one-shot potential. Fielder knows this. He's going for survivability. He's on to Moira.
Okay, that's definitely one of the swaps, I'm sure. I mean, it might pan out because he can push the payload, I guess, but they've already lost Hawk in this fight because Fielder was down below, not able to heal that Ramatra. And also, they lost a lot of healing. I mean, Moira is just, to be honest, not as good as some of the other healers you could potentially play, as flex healers in particular. And also, now you have to deal with Izayaki, who has been kind of on fire so far. They've regrouped together. They will have Lip's EMP in this fight. Decay eventually poked off the high ground, but now we have 1 minute and 25 seconds left. Boston Uprising have some ults to deal with Atlanta Rain.
Yeah, Lip's going to have that EMP, but like you said, Uprising are going to be able to have ultimates to deal with it. That nano boost from Twilight can save the members of Uprising that Rain choose.
Ooh, Twilight got incredibly close to pop off the nano and use an anti-grenade there, but he escapes. In fact, sleeps Hawk. Lip eventually finds Izayaki. Smurf, however, did trade it back and also finds Fielder. So far, Smurf on their Matra looking clean, but Lip does trade back Birdring. Also, eventually will chase down Hawk, who is just ignoring Smurf, but you really can't ignore him for that long because now you have 50 seconds left and you have some ultimates to finally use against Boston Uprising.
Birdring's not going to have Dragon Strike, however, to peel away the after effects of either an EMP or a Blizzard coming through from range, so they should get a little bit more cart distance from those ultimates alone. The problem is we're heading into overtime. If they have to use ultimates just to get initial push, they're not going to have anything left when Uprising decide to actually make a move.
We'll see. Moira also has gotten some changes recently as well with the fade during Coalescence, so we'll see if that pans out for the Atlanta Rain. Stalker, nice shot on the May onto Twilight. That opens things for them, although Smurf just trades it back immediately. Also, Birdring is there. Bodyguard finds Chio and Lip. Smurf, though, does get traded out behind that Coalescence of Fielder. However, once that runs out, I mean, surely Fielder's life will fade. He is rotated towards this point with Hawk, though. He does have some shields to work around and his team, but is the damage output there? Eventually, Hawk does try to pressure Birdring. He's going to have to get something done, but he's playing it kind of slow, playing towards the cart because of overtime. Fielder has to fade. They know that fade is used. The EMP is here. Hawk also uses his ultimate, the Annihilation on the cart. Stalker and Chio connect on the Smurf and Twilight. In last second, they've delayed it for long enough for the Atlanta Rain to come back. The capture out second point, leading us into third.
A lot of delays from Uprising side, but at the end of the day, Rain is still able to pick up both A and B and start to make their move into C. The problem is that they used all of their ultimates barring Sound Barrier, and now they have to push into C, where Uprising immediately get to situate Birdering up onto this high ground. Lip, as a result, off of the Sombra, you're not going to be able to infiltrate your way into this backline. He has to go toe-to-toe and try and out-snipe Birdering, otherwise Rain are not going to move past this bridge.
Let's see, Lip hits some shots. It's definitely in the cards. We've seen him do it before. He's looking for that Anor Zenyatta on the backline, but both supports do a good job just avoiding that Widowmaker shots. Birdring is well aware of where that Widowmaker is, and as is Decay, so they're ready to dive on him. Decay actually gets set up in the backline. Lip knows there's a Tracer on him. Can he hit the flick shot? He tries to just SMG him out. Can't hit all of the shots necessarily, just until now. Nice work from Lip to take out Decay. That's already a lot of damage gone. Also, Birdring removed, and the cart's already pushed past this choke point. It's looking terrifying for the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, not only does he have the nastiest summer in the world, Lip is absolutely no slouch when it comes to hit scan. And now on the Widowmaker, he can literally just play bouncer to Uprising as they come out of spawn.
So Birdring did come back on a Widow and hits the shots before the beat comes out. Birdring, what a kill from him. Then comes for this bottom left flank angle, but doesn't see Lip. Lip finds Izayaki, the nano onto Hawk on the cart. Should be enough to secure against Smurf. But Smurf, using his bubble well, does do a good job playing around it. However, the rest of the Boston Uprising has already fallen. Hawk finally closes out that payload. And this is overtime push after overtime after overtime. Atlanta Reign close out of the Boston Uprising.
I mean, it's the Widowmaker swap that really allows them to actually be able to pull that off, and point C, one of the hardest points to be able to take with a limited time bank for any team in Overwatch on any map. But Lip, because he's on that Widow, because he's hitting those shots, Smurf is actually contesting Hawk on the payload. Both of the tanks are there. Twilight on the Kiriko isn't healing his tank. He's been delegated as a Kiriko to duel the Widowmaker. So Uprising have more space to walk out of their spawn and keep that contest going. And as a result, Smurf just doesn't have the sustainability, and Rain, despite being in overtime, are able to finally pick up the full map.
It's a great point, Moxie, you bring up, because, you know, as we talk about Havana, you know, Rialto, a lot of these maps are a lot, you know, sniper focused. It seems like these teams, the Widowmakers are doing well, but a lot of the front line, a lot of these team like movements and overall rotations are just absolutely supreme. And really, it's enabling the rest of the team to capture out these points when as a unit you're working well, besides just the Widowmaker popping off.
Yeah, and Rain were taking full advantage as well of the fact that Boston Uprising was sending so many players after Lip that it allowed and freed up a lot of space on that frontline movement. We were seeing the Tracer going after the Widowmaker, so you don't have that backline pressure on your supports. And as a result, Hawk on that tank gets to go so much more aggressive. But Boston Uprising now faced with a different challenge entirely, making it out of spawn. Ooh, that Maywall almost separated that Winston from his spawn and his team, but he's able to make it back to the safety just in time.
Yeah, Atlanta Reign a bit split towards that point, just trying to body block both doorways. They rotate towards this point. Smurf jumps on it, but Birdring, nice kill on the fielder, although eventually Hawk chases down Smurf, and it's that Ramatra who has been consistently doing a lot of work. Izayaki gets walled out of the spawn, but his movement is so good, barely dies eventually to Lip. Nice work from him to track him down. They rotate around, but Twilight finds Hawk. Smurf also connects on the Stalker, and the spawn hold is stopped. They actually get out and are going to set up Shirley aggressive.
Yeah, Ram doesn't have as much power or threatening with his space as the Reinhardt when you compare that spawn hold, right? The Reinhardt you don't want to walk into because you're walking into not just the cleave with the hammer, but the fire strike and the charge potential as well. A Ramatra, it's a lot easier to be able to get on top and close enough. So Uprising have all of the confidence to be able to just push and poke away at this composition. As Chiro does get hacked, no Lucio, no means of being able to ferry Hawk into space and time. So Uprising taking a lot of control on this map very quickly as Izayaki almost absolutely dunked on Stalker.
I mean, this is like exactly what you want to do as Krigo. You just want to use your cooldowns for yourself and just look for those picks as your Tracer is the one pushing the payload. So Decay kind of being that payload pusher as he's been having to play the objective. EMP from Lip connects, and Hawk is there with the follow-up damage, able to just run onto the backline. Smurf is there with the nano boost, can eventually find him, but they've used a lot of cooldowns just to deal with Hawk. Is it enough for them to push out this payload, who has not really gotten a lot of push, really? They've only had one person pushing the entire time, so surely Hawk will come back, and that's a terrible pick that Lip just found on the Twilight. Smurf now without heals, gets hacked, has to use this Primal Rage in a bit of an emergency situation. Maybe can he find Chio, or does he have enough heals here? Chio doing a great job wall riding, avoiding that damage. EMP from Birdring. They need to win this fight. They're committing so many ultimates, but they have not gotten any kills. In fact, it's Stalker to find the kills with a nano boost of Lip on the front line. So Boston Uprising, even though they were in full panic mode, were not able to find those kills until just now. Birdring finally kills Chio, but is it enough for them to cap out on this point?
I mean, you want to talk movement? Chio was able to evade the full Primal, batting him into an EMP, and still survive. A lot of his movement, perfect, but Fielder as well, really helping out, as well as the peel coming through from Rainer. Stalker waits with this pulse bomb, might be able to find a connection, but Uprising, they use the Kitsune Rush. Rain with the sound barrier, though, are able to contest the aggression too.
It just seems like these neutral fights, and then also, like you mentioned with the beat drop, the Rain are able to just come out on top once they send Hawk pummeling into that backline. Now a minute left for the Boston Uprising. Not a lot of ults on the board either. I'd be a little bit worried if I was a Boston fan.
Yeah, it's a little bit of their own medicine, right? The Ramatra working against Uprising to stop these dives from finding their targets, not allowing them to be able to group up and chunk one of these players down in time before Rain are able to turn around and deal with the threat.
Birdring drops off the high ground, trying to build some EMP. Hawk is just able to secure this cart. Decay now comes through, touches that cart, but has to deal with both Hawk and Stalker. Hawk's looking for that aggressive engage. They know Lip has that EMP ready to go, but they're just trying to deal with Izayaki. Suzu used. Eventually, Lip has to translocate back. Now, counter EMPs, the backline, Pulse Bomb, and Lip are there to slam dunk onto Smurf and Decay. Now 20 seconds left for the Boston Uprising.
Uprising have one push, one lost shot, but Izayaki gets hacked! He's not able to swift step to spawn! And Rain pick up the Kiriko, stopping Uprising from being able to complete a full regroup.
Yeah, but Lip does fall, so now he's not going to be in this fight. And for the Atlanta Rain, they do have the Nano, and they do have Annihilation on that front line. Pulse Bomb used to force Hawk to maybe commit some ultimates. Nano boost onto Smurf, dives into the back line, but does that back line survive Smurf's dive? It looks like they actually nano the Tracer. I believe he tried to nano boost his Ramatra, but he'll take a nano Tracer who just comes back for the peel onto Smurf. And as long as you have Hawk on this payload, they should be okay until Decay and that EMP from Birdring connects on the Chio. So now he's out of the fight. Hawk goes incredibly low in the front line, but it doesn't matter. Izyaki's down to sleep dart on the Stalker. What a sleep from Twilight! It may enable the Boston Uprising here, but Lip and the rest of the Atlanta Rain control that payload, in which the Boston Uprising cannot touch. They stop Boston Uprising hopes on Havana.
Yeah, it's the same story for both teams, right? Ram making it so hard for that dive composition to be able to work. The difference is when we hit into overtime, Atlanta Rain have the ultimates, they have the win conditions, things like the Annihilation, the Nano Boost, the Tracer still being able to just push onto all of your regrouping squishies. Even though Lip had gone so aggressive to find that pick onto Izayaki, it disrupted the tempo that Uprising were looking to be able to pick into that overtime fight, and they never really recovered.
No, they never did, and you know, you have to honestly tip your hat to Hawk. I think a lot of that was, you know, his Ramatra play, really shutting down the objective. It just felt like, you know, Boston Uprising, at least on their attack, Moxie, could not find any value. And even last second, in a lot of these overtime pushes on their own attack, it just constantly was coming out on top when Boston Uprising were heavily relying on their DPS to find picks.
Yeah, Hawk was absolutely, I think, not quite the main attraction, but he's sort of that underlying consistency that the team were able to rally around. It's Stalker and Lip coming in with the flashy plays, but Hawk being able to stay alive and anchor the supports into safety is what allowed Rain to be able to hold on for overtime.
And we'll see on the next map what happens. Boston Uprising trying to stay alive while the Atlanta Rain want to keep their golden stage, potentially with a 3-1 victory on Esperanza. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. welcome back, everybody. We're back, obviously, with the Boston Uprising watch party. I hope, that they, at the half, maybe can show that watch party to the players, because that energy would get me hyped up. I mean, what an excellent crowd they have at that watch party. And Moxie, obviously, they want their team to get the win. This would be a massive win for the Boston Uprising if they can pull off this comeback against the Atlanta Reign.
I mean, not only would it be massive, we would finally see Reign lose an entire series, it would also allow Boston the chance to be able to oust Outlaws from getting that second buy-in ticket to Korea immediately, so you don't have to go through the actual qualifiers that I know a lot of teams are squirming in their seats about, because some of those teams that they figured out the meta, they are looking incredibly strong. And talking about figured out the meta, look no further than Atlanta Reign. There's a reason these guys are at the top at the moment, and I'm sure you're very happy about that. No bias though, no bias, right?
No bias. I was talking about Boston before this, and obviously a big catalyst for the Atlanta Reign Moxie has been this man. It's been Lip on the Sombra so far. I've never played with a player like him. I'm sure Gator hasn't either, and I'm sure he's happy to have Lip on the roster, because so far on Sombra, he has been phenomenal.
I mean, Lip is a very, very strange one in that he is in a position where we can just say he's the best Sombra. And I don't think there's anyone else in terms of heroes who are actually in that space. Tracer, there's a lot of different names floating around for the name of best Tracer in the world, the same for the tanks, the same for the supports, but Lip is just in another league of his own when he's playing at the peak, and he has been playing exceptionally well today.
Yeah, and as are the rest of the Atlanta Reign to enable him, right? Obviously, Lip definitely that star talent, but there's a reason why everybody talks about this team like they're one of the best teams to ever play the game. It's because it's literally like you've just Thanos collected all of the role stars, all of the best players. Hawk, by the way, never gotten a role star, if I'm not mistaken, although definitely deserving in his own right. And obviously, in my opinion, when Atlanta Reign, when you're quote-unquote worst player is Hawk, people talk about that. That's a great situation to be in. I mean, this guy, I know from behind the scenes, works hard. He's putting in so much time to make sure his team wins. I mean, he even took a break, not even going to join the World Cup team for Team USA because he's so focused on winning that chip with the Atlanta Reign, which what a storyline for him, starting with Atlanta Academy, then moving to the Atlanta Reign. I mean, that would be a great way for him to get that win. And obviously, speaking about Hawk, he's actually being subbed out here. So I talked all of that about Hawk. Dong Hawk is going to be coming in instead of him on the next map.
That's fine. You've talked so much about Hawk, I can feel his presence. That sort of sixth player cheering Atlanta Reign on, because like you said, Boston Uprising, with the fact that they have a watch party, obviously that's going to be giving them so much energy that they're able to collect from the fans, as well as the fact that, come on, they started off with a map win against an undefeated team. Do not forget that Uprising walked away with Lijiang on some maps that felt close, and then we had Control Center, where Izayaki just went Zen and went Burgo kill.
And you talk about it, Moxie. I mean, what, Atlanta Reign have only dropped one map, was it, before this series? So now they're up to 2. That's something. Let's see if they can bring it up to 1 more. I mean, that would heavily, even if Boston Uprising lose this, put them in a good spot to be that top 2, top 3 team in the West.
Yeah, but talking about Izayaki is also going to be sitting this next map out. Lee Jaegon is going to be coming back in as we head over towards Push. And this is always a really interesting one, right? Especially this map of Push. Because Coliseo and New Queen Strait have a lot of flank angles, but it doesn't feel like they have as many as Esperanza, given just how wide this map can be. So it becomes incredibly difficult to be able to mark both the positions of the Tracer and the Sombra. And that was what Boston Uprising were doing a very good job of when they were both defending Havana and playing control center. But as we head into this push map, are we going to see Lip and Stalker getting away with absolute murder?
I mean, based on what you said, I think we might. Obviously, on the opposite side, Birdring and Decay have been doing a good job so far in this series. Obviously, Decay, I think a lot of people have been talking about as one of the best Tracers so far, having a bit of a resurgent season. And Moxie, we're actually not having a mirror composition. Lee Jae-gong going to be starting on the Brigitte instead of Chio on the Lucio.
Yeah, anti-dive composition. They are playing for survivability for Twilight. They know that Lip and Stalker are going to be looking for those flank initiations. And Lee Jae-gong's job is to keep that backline safe, so that Smurf doesn't have to turn around and peel.
Yep, that's incredibly smart from them to want to play that backline presence with Lee Jae-gong. The nade comes through, and Decay's already been able to find Lift. What a great job from him to open things for the Boston Uprising. Smurf attempts to jump to that high ground to take advantage of the man advantage they have. Okay, still on the logo. Nice sleep dart. Oh my god, slope or fast peek from Fielder, although he takes an anti-grenade as he attempts to back out of there. Smurf just making sure they can't set up on the high ground, taking control of the top of this archway. It's really important for them. Eventually they'll have to give it up and give up a lot of that space too as they try to regroup for their team.
Yeah, Hack does come out onto Smurf, however, so he has to jump back to the rest of his team, allowing Twilight to actually rocket up in terms of ultimate charge, fast outpacing Fielder in terms of that nano boost.
Yeah, he's been doing a good job, 90% now towards the Nano, and Nano Brigitte is also a play that you could do as well with the Nano Winston. I mean, it's just so strong on either front. They're waiting for it. I'm sure Atlanta Rain know they built Nano before him because they were doing so much damage, but getting no kills. So now, Donghack goes for the dive and be trying to force out the Nano. The Nano comes out to Smurf, who is pressured out, but the counter dive, or rather the disengage comes through from Atlanta Rain away from the Nano Winston. So great disengage from them. Now Stalker with the pulse bomb does connect onto the bubble, it looked like, of the shield of Smurf. So no kills just yet for them. Decay does have a pulse bomb, but Nano comes out for Donghack, who's going deep onto the back line. But do they sustain it? It looks like they do. Donghack hasn't even built the Primal Rage, but doesn't need to because the EMP is there from Lip. The follow-up damage as well from Fielder onto Smurf. They found the Winston, and they have control of that robot, trying to get that meter advantage.
Yeah, Rain finally able to displace Uprising's hold on that high ground, allowing a lot less options for Lee Jaegon, but more importantly, Twilight on this Ana to safely be able to set themselves out of this fight, out of focus for Lip and Stalker to track them down.
Birdring sits down below, has the EMP, but he is scouted out, so he decides to go from a different angle. Meanwhile, his team is being dove upon, so he's going to have to go for this EMP quick, and it connects onto both DPSs. Unfortunately, it just connects onto, or they just kill Stalker, I should say, as the K falls to Lip on the side. The rally was used from Lee Jaegon to come back into this fight. It seems like Atlanta Rain still want to fight it, but wait for that rally to go out. Smurf still dealing with a lot of pressure of Lip, and the rest of Atlanta Rain wait, knowing that support ult was used.
Yeah, Rain falling back to the high ground. This is the position that Uprising had treasured in the past, so as a result, they're going to wait for that nano boost to be online before they actively try and challenge.
But they don't use the nano first. As soon as Doghat goes for the dive, he's hit by the anti-grenade, so he doesn't get the heals from the nano boost on that ring gauge. The counter nano comes out, and Lee Jaegon. Donghack still goes for that dive with the beat drop because Stalker is there with the pulse bomb. Though Smurf has traded it back and also comes back for Donghack, knowing he doesn't have Primal, wants to stick him on the inside, and also goes for Chio. A bit of a bait and switch to chase down the Lucio of the Atlanta Rain. Birdring also connects on the Lip. Stalker did trade back one, but he's already down all of his members on his team. Boston Uprising will reclaim the robot, trying to get it forward and get the stagger kill onto Donghack.
Uprising have wised up to Rain's tactic. Rain have a tactic, a strategy of even if you win the fight, you still lose it overall because of how much you have to use to peel for your backline. And Uprising play Rain at their own trick, and it's perfect.
It's just so clean. I mean, it seems like the strategy has also been for the Boston Uprising just sub Smurf back in. I mean, this guy is a championship caliber player, has been able to put on performances in the Overwatch League so far. EMP on the low ground, no kill comes of it. Unfortunately, it's disengaged quite well until just now. Donghack eventually chases down Birdring. Twilight and the rest of the Boston Uprising try to equalize it. They don't want to lose that robot yet either, so they're still trying to play around it. Even though they're down a member, doesn't seem like they're able to get kills just yet. Lee Jaegon pops the rally, even though they're down in this fight, forcing Donghack to commit the Primal Rage to displace that Brigitte and the Ana, but at the same time, he's taking a lot of damage. Pulse Bomb used from Stalker, not able to find the kills, but they reclaim the robot, try to disengage away from this fight, but because they're not making this rotation, they get EMP'd by Birdring over that high ground. No kills for them, but it slows down Atlanta Rain's push. They've built the nano boost of Fielder, but also Twilight has built a nano of his own, but does he keep Smurf alive? He's hacked. He goes incredibly low. Eventually, Lip finds him, but the Pulse Bomb from the K connects on the Fielder as they lost Stalker as well to Lee Jae-gong. The nano boost to keep Donghack alive might be enough, but unfortunately, there's too much damage and too many members of the Boston Uprising alive as they reclaim the robot and surely take that meter advantage.
Yeah, Decay gets essentially a free kill every single time he goes up against Fielder, and Fielder doesn't hit that sleep dart. Remember, Rain aren't running the Brigitte, so their main form of peel for Fielder is either Speed Boost from Chio or Donghack coming back on the Winston, but Donghack was playing aggressively in Uprising's backline, so Decay knows he has that moment to be able to hit that support and go straight for the kill. And without an Ana, Rain have no sustainability, and Uprising take the lead.
I mean, this has been one of Lip's hardest games yet to play. Then throws the transfer kit to the high ground. EMP also. Antigen is there. But look, the rest of the Boston Uprising with the nano boost on the Lee Jae-gong just peeled off that engage. And now Donghack and the rest of the Atlanta Reign have to rely on a pulse run from Stalker, in which he doesn't hit. So now the Primal Rage from Smurf onto the backline. Nice sleep dart from Fielder, but the cooldown just slows down Smurf for now. He goes immediately out of the backline, trying to force Chio's beat drop. They get Fielder so low, nobody else is there. Decay also connects on the Donghack. Chio trying to save the beat for next fight. And the checkpoint is also received for the Boston Uprising.
Oh, Stalker gets staggered out as well. Lee Jae-gong takes the Tracer down, and Reign don't have a means of EMP or Pulse Bomb. They're going to be relying on an aggressive barrier to give Fielder the space to be able to use this nano boost to try and take over Uprising, but they're going to be playing into the two ultimates. Uprising have, Reign don't.
Dive comes through, Rally to try to counter Dawnhawk, who has that beat drop. Obviously, Brigitte Rally is so good in these fights and kind of takes the edge over the beat drop, it seems like, although Lip goes incredibly low Stalker as well, but they get healed up surely eventually, but the nano boost not available just yet for Fielder. Eventually, Lip finds Birdring, who was building that EMP. They needed it for this fight, but maybe they don't actually, because Lee Jae-gong connects onto Donghack, and they've kept Smurf alive, so they have their tank alive. Also, Twilight goes incredibly low, but he's healed in the corner. Smurf desperately needs these heals and gets healed up immediately by Twilight, one of the best Annas in the league. So they regroup around this payload, but the spawn's still kind of advantage in the Atlanta Reign. Although Smurf is found, Chio snipes him. Although the counter sleep dart from Twilight is here. Pulse bomb to counter Smurf in that dive. They do have the follow-up damage. Nice pulse bomb onto the sleep dart from Stalker, and Donghack also finds supports into the back line to finally control this robot yet again.
Cost them though. Not just distance, but also ultimates. That nano boost has now been removed to try and save Donghack or even Chio. If the EMP hits into that Brigitte, or you just have that pulse bomb attaching from Decay, Uprising in this next fight have full advantage. Birdring's already infiltrated past all of the spy checks.
Oh my god, he's waiting at the bottom of that archway. Goes for the EMP, connects onto Chio, and they have the follow-up damage. The counter EMP comes through, but nobody else shoots at Birdring. Although maybe that wasn't the target they wanted. They do find Twilight. Fielder has connected onto his fellow flex support on the back line. Smurf, knowing this, backs up, waits for his team to regroup as Decay and Birdring are trying to set up on the dive. They get found out. But Fielder also connects onto Birdring too, doing a great job so far for the Atlanta Reign, as he's kept his life and has also put a lot of damage downrange.
Yeah, Uprising just pulling back. They have the space to be able to give. Reign don't really have a time bank that they want to work with if they want to be able to take this next fight and those forward spawns. It's going to have to be Donghack taking away that high ground, going up against Lee Jae-gong, who's isolated away from his team and has to fall back.
Yeah, we'll be loading that Rally. Smurf also is hacked temporarily, but does have the safety net of his team by him, as well as that meter advantage. Eventually, Donghack will drop down under the archway. Now we'll look for that backline. Notices the Anna is in a bit of a suboptimal position to dive. Doesn't have Lip ready for a dive just yet. He's just trying to take some space in the high ground. Smurf wants to go for a dive of his own. Onto the Anna, bubbles the shield, but it's Stalker on the other side who gets a pulse bomb onto Lee Jae-gong, so Smurf needs the Primal Rage, finds some kills, but do they have the sustain? He's stuck in a corner, but now he's into the open, and Stalker yet again, not equalizing, giving them a massive advantage, connecting onto Decay with Donghack's dive. They found two, and surely will claim the checkpoint here.
Forward spawn's going to be picked up in a matter of moments by Atlanta Reign as well, something that Boston Uprising did not want to see happen, given that Lip is so close to that EMP. But sitting on the nano boost has the means to be able to push this rally into hypercharge. But Reign doing a very good job of just playing away from the Anna's line of sight to not allow easy picks from Uprising side. Oh, Decay!
Oh my god, Decay getting picked is huge, and just like we've seen on previous maps, it feels like the Boston Uprising are not really playing aggressive enough in this current fight. The Rally also used from Lee Jae-gong with the nano boost, so both support what's layered, but do they get the kill? Okay, they do, but Smurf goes incredibly low. Lee Jae-gong gets lit, but they're still even in this fight, so they commit the Rally nano, and they get onto Lee Jae-gong, but do they find the kills? Stalker found Smurf. Lee Jae-gong goes so low, but the pocket from Twilight, it's almost enough, but they have the damage on the front line. Eventually, Twilight goes down. Birdring commits the EMP without anybody in his team. The pulse bomb is here from Decay. It finds Chio, but now 67 meters. Overtime ticks down. Moxie to the Boston Uprising choke again.
That's why we saw the EMP from Birdring, even though there were no teammates to be able to play for it. As we're in overtime, Atlanta Reign with full control of the bot are about to eclipse Uprising's charge, but Uprising have one more chance, one more push. Maybe they turn it around.
Twilight finds Lip. What a pick from him. Keeps Birdring alive here. Came back on that Kuriko. Could he keep it up? He's been able to do it before. Donghack jumps onto the payload, uses both of his cooldowns. Meanwhile, Smurf came back onto the Doomfist, dives deep onto the backline. They still have the meter advantage, and they find Fielder. Stock did trade back Legion, but the hack comes through in the follow-up damage from Chio and Stalker. Enable Atlanta Reign to close out on Esperanza to give them that 3-1 victory over the Boston Uprising.
It's so close. It's incredibly competitive, but Atlanta Reign are able to continue the golden stage. 8 series undefeated from this team. But my goodness, Outlaws came close to toppling them. Boston also pushed this team significantly outside of their comfort zone. They came so close to pulling off that even just one more push, one more fight win, one more EMP. Maybe they're able to take it. I know why Birdring uses that EMP. He thinks it's the only chance the team have to be able to just push Rain into scattering so they can't group on the bot and push it to the full part of the map. But unfortunately, it just means you didn't have an ultimate when you came into the fight afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you understand why, but unfortunately, they don't end up with the W in this Atlanta Reign squad. You know, I talked about it before, obviously, to get that undefeated stage is huge for the Atlanta Reign, and I brought up, you know, the undefeated stage for the Atlanta Reign, but this team, jokes aside, is one of the best teams we've seen in the Overwatch League. What a fantastic squad that they have. And for the Boston Uprising, it's really not the end of the world, right? So many teams have been counting out the Boston Uprising. To take that map win is at least something for the Boston Uprising to work with. And meanwhile, for the Atlanta Reign, they look amazing. And in particular, Stalker played so well on Tracer, really stepped up for them in times, and also has kind of been an unsung hero for this team, for the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah, it feels like we're always talking about Lip when we talk about DPS for Reign, but I mean, Stalker was just an absolute god. This entire match coming in with some really gorgeous kills on that Tracer, being able as well to pressure that backline into parting with some real hard-earned utility. As a Tracer, a lot of the time your job is not find kills, but just bait out Immortality Field, either with the Pulse Pistols alone or the Pulse Bomb itself, and Stalker did such a good job at pushing that backline to the absolute brink.
Yeah, and I think Stalker, for this team, really, you know, has pushed them forward. Like you mentioned, really been able to push his role further and further, been able to do more and more. And that's exactly that player that you need on one of these lineups. This is what you have to be able to win the Overwatch League as a Tracer player as good as him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might actually be my favorite Tracer play this so far season, where you play Hot Potato with Pulse Bomb after your Winston has Primal Rage juggled them right into the ultimate. It's such a fun synergy that Atlanta Reign have, and they actually do it twice.
Yeah, they did it twice, and you called it earlier on, I think it was Blizzard World, Moxie, where you talked about, you know, so many Pulse Bombs were eaten by Kalios, but that just proves how good Stalker has been to really just counter any of these fantastic players against him with these Pulse Bombs, with these overall impactful kills that he's been able to bring the Atlanta Reign. And for that 3-1 victory, that's amazing for them leading to the knockouts, or leading to mid-season madness.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, for Boston, they're not out of the entire tournament. It wasn't a London situation where they had to win, otherwise they wouldn't qualify. This was just seeding for Boston. And I'm sure Outlaws are going to be super happy, but Boston can still hold their head high. They did incredibly well and pushed Reign to a spot that I don't think we'd expected this team to go.
No, I don't think we did, but you know, we will expect 2 more games coming up, guys, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with a desk to break everything down for you.
앞에 먼저 봐줄게 이거.
동원.
딜러. 날 좀.
한번 둠피 왔다.
어.
우리 한 발에
천천히
천천히
해.
앞에.
어.
다시 해줘 계속.
나 이거 먼저
잠깐만
잡아.
루시안.
확인.
무슨 잡았어?
맞아. 아 키리.
루시필. 나이스.
Those are the winning moments. Atlanta Reign are not breaking their streak, although they were off to a little bit of a rocky start there. Boston starting the series off on a good foot, and then it somehow just started to really disconnect, and they started playing their own, like, I don't know, kind of quick play, you know, each to their own. Let's see if we can just ride out.
Hero ball.
No, you cannot.
Right.
Exactly. Let's discuss it at more detail, though, as we're looking through some highlights here. Kenobi, Rich, what is your biggest takeaway from this map?
I mean, there's so many different factors. I know Jake's is going to touch on one of them specifically, but I got to just talk about the support line in and of itself. Chio and Fielder were just absolutely unreal outside of moving through that first initial map. Like you said, it started off looking good for Boston, and then just once they started to download how Izayaki was playing, and they allowed that just to settle, the storm goes on, and then you just have Atlanta Reign being able to just dominate. The amount of healing they're putting into Hawk and what they're able to do just with control and their ability usage, there's just so much that favors them in this, and it's crazy the significant value that it brings throughout the rest of the series.
And I think it's a lot to do with the coordination as well. Like with this Atlanta Reign team, you have this championship-winning backline in Chio and Fielder. Jake, we were talking in the green room, and Jake is like, every time Fielder's on a wall, Fielder never misses a shot, always healed up. So I think that this team, like when you look at them as a unit, you have potentially 5 of the best players on each of their heroes, right? Lip the best Sombra, you have Stalker, who's like as much of a Scottie Pippen as you would want from anyone else. Chio and Fielder, we know so much about them, and Hawk and Donghak, I think both rotating into this lineup, nothing really feels lost when either of them are in, and I think that's a really important thing, especially when there were some questions about some sort of, language barriers or anything like that. They still look like the same well-oiled machine, no matter who is running that tank.
For the Boston Uprising, I mean, there were a lot of highlight-worthy moments as well, right?
I think Decay and Birdring kept up in this series, which is an impressive feat. I mean, they're storied players. We know them really well. But to keep up with Lip and Stalker is something very few teams have managed. I think from this match, although Boston lose and Atlanta were the stronger team in the end, we've got to consider Boston now as probably the most likely team to earn a spot in the qualifier, just based on their performance against Atlanta. Like, that's the metric right now. Who can even take maps off Atlanta? That's a statement being in the West right now.
I think the other ones were also close, too. That's the biggest thing, because like Houston had their one map earlier where like they won and then the rest were kind of like throwaways. This one was like really close throughout most of it, I think, and Boston really put up a fight. I think that when we look further into this, it's going to be like, can they, have that hero ball a little bit more consistently? But Jake's right, dealing with Lip is in and of itself such a hard thing to do.
Number one factor.
I mean, Birdring, obviously an absolute legend himself at the game of Overwatch, but going up against Lip on that Sombra, if we're just looking at Lip's stats, it's filthy, it's nasty. Like, they have children, Lip, calm down. Number 1 in almost every metric there. Deaths, we're gonna just glance over that one.
Just ignore that one.
Honestly, his timing is just impeccable, Jake. Like, he just always seems to be hitting those EMPs at the right time.
Yes, Zoe, and we've talked about Lip a million times. We've said, he's the best Sombra player in the league. He's got the stats to prove it, but it's a very complicated hero, so I wanted to take this opportunity to dive in a little bit deeper for the folks at home and think, like, how do you actually leverage this Sombra hero? And I especially want to look at a certain scenario, which is the defense on Blizzard World. 3 EMPs we're going to take a look at, and we're going to find a consistent theme for Lip. So we can start the clip off here, and then pause it just as he's looking for the EMP. So right here, what about this moment, and I'll tell you, spoiler alert, Lip's about to EMP and they're about to burst Lijigon, but what makes it so crucial is not just that he's EMPing the Brig, right? He could have done that at different times. He could have waited for any kind of opportunity, but really it's the positioning. So, right, as Lijigon is walking forward, trying to take this forward position, Kalios walking up, taking this trade on the corner there. This is a very strong telegraph for the Boston Uprising. They want to push forward. This is their opportunity to try and take some tempo. You can see even over here, Hawk, he's losing a bit of that armor, starting to be a little bit weaker. This is a moment where Boston feels they have a bit of strength and they're going to push forward. And that's exactly the moment that Lip pops the EMP. So we can roll the clip here. And you see Lee Jae-gon, I mean, he's so far forward at that moment. It looks like he's incredibly out of position. And then this one as well, we can pause the clip right here. So even here, right, we just saw at the start of that clip, Lip actually TPs back early before anything happens. I mean, he invis, he walk off the high ground, and most of the times on Sombra, you would like start to run around and wait to TP back. But you can guess that there's a call coming in from the rain that Boston are coming forward, they're moving in on the high ground. We need you back right now, Lip. So Lip, he quickly TPs back to his high ground, gets with his teammates, and once again, right, it's Hawk. He's getting heavily pressured right here. He's falling off the high ground. Lee Jae-gon is attacking him. So is Kalios, and you know, Hawk's getting bullied really strongly right now. It looks really bad, but that's exactly what the situation that Atlanta Reign are trying to create. Boston's coming in, thinking they have the tempo, thinking they have an opportunity, and then that's when Lip is gonna get in here and pop the EMP, so we can roll this clip. And I mean, Lee Jae-gon, he's suffering, right? It's just, you're too far forward to get saved there. Getting the Diva as well on these EMPs is a crucial factor. No Matrix to come in. And here, the third and final example of this is here once again, right? It's at this moment. This time, Hawk is even getting hacked over here. You know, everybody is diving to Hawk. Like, this is the moment. You know, we're gonna nano our brig. We're gonna catch Hawk. Boston feels they have a tempo. They're gonna take the lead and try and take an advantage. And that's exactly the moment that Lip strikes with his EMP. So we can roll the clip here once again. And it's just consistently finding the follow-up because of this timing, right? It's that Lip is punishing Boston's aggression rather than trying to force something on his own. He's not trying to go in and force his whole team to dive. He's waiting for Boston to come out and expose themselves, and that's when he strikes with the EMP. And that's part of what makes him the best Sombra in the Overwatch League.
Bravo. Love that. But it is, honestly, it's so well choreographed. Like, they throw out Hawk as the bait there, and then Lip is coming from behind. It's like, gotcha. So it's really great to see them working so cohesive with their abilities there. And Lip is just, he's an absolute beast. He knows exactly when to trigger that finger. Now, we do have a winner's interview ready as well. So please, everyone, send a warm welcome vibes to Hawk from the Atlanta Reign. Congrats. You're still on a winning streak.
Yep, thank you.
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
It's not a big deal. It's just another day at work. That's fine. That's fine. Hawk, I do want to ask though. Boston, obviously, you know, they may you guys sweat a little bit in the early stages of this series. Do you feel like Boston has been the one team which tends to do the most out of all the teams you faced off against so far?
Yeah, I think they've definitely tested us the most, at least today. We saw a couple things that we've never seen before, like the Orisa on Lee Zhang, or them not playing Lucio on Garden. So like a lot of stuff kind of threw us off, but we adapted over this series, and I think we just need to be a little more decisive and just think about our comps a little more, and we should be good.
So I wanted to ask you, big picture, Hawk, rather. Now that you've locked in your spot going to Korea for the midseason madness, what are you thinking about as far as like preparation for that tournament? You know, you can turn your focus completely, I guess, on that. Are you looking at any teams from the East? Are you worried about anything? Do you think there's going to be much competition from the East, or do you see the Western teams as more dominant?
I'm not really worried about the East at all. I think most of the we had the players last year, like the two best DPS players last year that were in the East over here now. So like they lost a lot of talent due to unfortunate things, but
to you guys,
yeah.
But I think that we're just gonna focus on our map picks, work on more like flexible comps, and yeah, that should be it.
So Hawk, you've been with this team kind of for a long time, and I just wanted to ask you about your relationship a little bit with Donghak, because I think that, you know, Donghak came in a little bit later in terms of being that player to come into this roster, and like, how is that, you know, you and him switching on particular maps? Obviously, it's very hero dependent, but do you have a kind of relationship with Donghak outside of this, you know, helping him out a little bit, and how is that relationship between both of you been?
I think we both respect each other, and like when it's our time to play, like everyone, it's pretty obvious when one player needs to be subbed in and out. Honestly, I don't know him very well, and I don't ever share in-game time with him, so it's kind of just like we figure out what maps are good for each other, and it's pretty universal and pretty like telling who plays what map.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it translates really well. You guys always rock up with a plan, and so far, absolutely undefeated. Let's see if you guys can keep the streak going. Wish you best of luck, of course, in Korea. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Hawk from the Atlanta Reign joining us for a quick chat after yet another victory. it's not a big deal anymore. But yeah, Boston, he said, at least today, they made them sweat the most. So that is, of course, just the second game of the day. We do have much more to come. Let's take a look at our schedule to see where we currently at. Our next match will be fought out between the San Francisco Shock and the Florida Mayhem. This is another one with some implications on the line. San Francisco Shock, they were off to a rocky start. A lot of questions, of course, which is surprising because, again, it is the San Francisco Shock, championship-winning franchise. They are going up against the Florida Mayhem, which just yesterday brought us one of the best series we've saw so far. And if I were the San Francisco Shock, I'd be mighty worried right now.
Yeah, I think RuPaul especially really impressed me yesterday on that Ana. He was absolutely devastating, finding tons of sleeps, tons of kills in his own right. And so that's a player I've really got my eyes on for this series. I think Shock, sometimes their dives have looked a little bit uncoordinated. They've relied a lot on hero plays. And I think that's going to be really on RuPaul to punish, right? If you don't come at him with like the hack into the follow-up immediately, he's going to find those sleep darts on you. He's going to punish your DPS. And we know everyone else in the Florida Mayhem is going to be picking you apart at the same time. So I'm honestly a little worried for the Shock. I think this is going to be a tough one for them.
But Kenobi, I know you got your eyes on the most low-hanging fruit there is, which is, of course, the Tracer battle for this one.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think Checkmate is one of these players, when we have like this league kind of right now with a lot of these carry potential players on the Tracer, with Stalker. I think Proper is another one that's going to be interesting in this matchup. Checkmate, I think, flies under the radar a little bit in terms of like being that carry player. They're very much Tim Duncan-esque, Mr. Fundamental, ooze consistency. And the biggest thing for me there is that pulse bomb attach rate, just continuously always going to get at least one, it feels like, in every single of these two fights. And those deaths being the least, that is something that I think really helps them out, because I know that there's a lot of mechanically gifted play coming from Merit, but Checkmate kind of offers them this secondary pressure valve that is always just consistently there, and you can rely on as the Florida Mayhem. So I think Checkmate is someone who deserves